All set. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of the City of Boston. Today is October 22nd of 2021. First order of business, Mr. Lighting, could you please?
Recording in progress.
Certainly.
Okay, let's do this one more time. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of the City of Boston. Today is October 21st, 2021. First order of business, Mr. Lighting, could you please do a roll call?
Certainly. Member of the Public Works Department, please state their name.
Jayasinghan.
Property Management.
Callahan.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Inspectional Services Department.
Brian Ronan.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Davlin.
And Disabilities Commission.
Charlie Young.
Thank you, all present, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lighting. First business item, the approval of the hearing minutes at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of the PIC hearings held on October 7th of this year.
I make a motion to approve to accept the minutes of the Public Improvement Commission hearing held on October 7th, 2021.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First item on the business side of the agenda, utility board hearings continued. Item number 1, on a joint petition by Verizon New England Inc. and Eversource Energy for a pole installation within Mount Vernon Street, a public way in our Dorchester neighborhood, to install one new utility pole to be located on its southerly side across from Hottrell Street. The first hearing was held on September 2nd. It was continued to September 23rd and October 2nd. Petitioner. Morning.
I believe we have Oscar Lanas attending.
Yes. With Verizon?
Yes, Oscar, if you could activate your camera.
Yes.
Wonderful, we can see you. Please, sir.
Yes. So Verizon's petitioning for a grant application to place a new 45-foot Class 2 stub pole near the intersection of Mount Vernon Street and Cotterell Street. The intended pole will be southerly placed pole 20 across the street from pole 22.5 Mount Vernon Street. This pole will help support the existing pole line and add new services on Contrell Street. So.
Todd, I believe we are still under some discussions regarding the concerns of our fellow commission members. Brian, I'm sorry, I'm maybe jumping the gun here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Commissioner Ronan.
I'm sorry, to the chair.
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
Are you guys gonna do anything with the pole that's at the 45-degree or so angle out there that's existing? Is that going to be removed and replaced or anything?
That question was for the petitioner.
Oscar, you need to respond to the concerns or the question raised by Mr. Ronan.
I am not quite sure. I can definitely bring that up to Verizon's attention.
Brian,
Okay.
Oscar's, at least for my sake, it's not, I don't know whether the commission can take testimony of that nature. I'm not sure whether Oscar has been fully apprised of what is needed. It's your call, Brian. I know you made several attempts to sort this thing out, and we are here to support you.
Okay, to the chair, Verizon, I've been looking at that. I've mentioned this several times to your people, to the Verizon people. The pole needs to be removed. There's an existing pole out there, and I appreciate that the amount of line you have is what's causing the problem, and you want the stub pole to alleviate, but you're not addressing the immediate hazard at hand. You know what I mean? So like, I'm gonna really make a suggestion that existing pole be taken down and replaced if that's the case. Now, that being said, if it's done without a stub pole, we're going to probably be back in the same place in a year or two, realistically, depending on weather conditions and so forth. So I wouldn't necessarily have a huge problem with the stub pole. It's not really a good location. If they wanted to move it back so that it wouldn't affect an incoming truck or something like that, I think would be the optimal thing. Now, whether or not that's realistic in the ask, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been on the commission that long. But the existing pole poses an immediate hazard, in my opinion, to pedestrian traffic, and it needs to come out.
Brian, it has been the practice of the commission over the years to seek counsel and guidance from your office and the inspection services department. And if you have a concern about public safety, it is the duty of the commission members to support you until the petitioners are able to understand your concerns and take necessary corrective action. So, Oscar, it seems like we are seeing a parade of different members from your Verizon team that have been present at these hearings, and we want to be as accommodating as we can, but in the interest of the commission's time and your agency's time, I strongly urge you on behalf of the commission to take these concerns to the level of seriousness that it deserves, and to bring it to a resolution rather than troubling the commission by continuously having to postpone these hearings. So, Oscar, are you able to convey those sentiments to your team members at Verizon?
Yes, I'll be able to convey the message to them, especially to the Verizon engineer in charge. My question to Brian, you're talking about pole 22-5 currently that needs to be, you're talking about needs to be replaced. Is that correct?
I do not have the pole number in front of me right now, but it is the one directly in front of the Union Hall on that side of the street.
All right, so I would definitely bring that up to them, and then hopefully it will be able to get resolved promptly.
Okay, I have a pending email, so if they could establish one point of contact for me to deal with, because I'm getting feedback from a couple of different places. I'm going to want to meet them out there to discuss a few other options, but the pole must come out. That's the one thing that is a constant. But there's also, I'm looking at some potential overhead issues and a couple of different things out there that I'd like to discuss. And if I could just, we could probably have a meeting on site to go through it. I am free today and tomorrow, and I will make any accommodation necessary to meet you out there. And I would also invite any of the commission members to attend with me if they should think that they need to. So that being said, I'd like to get into that, to have a definitive plan. Not at one time have I heard that the pole is not a big deal. So no one's telling me any different either. I don't want to go as too far as to ask for a full structural analysis for the pole, the existing pole to remain. But it seems to be a bigger problem from what I can see from the weight bearing down on that. Now notice I'm still not saying no to being in support of the stub pole. I just think that there may be a better option for location. And then there's the existing hazard at hand that the current pole is causing. which something that I would want to know if we could maybe potentially get this done before the weather turns and we start looking at December, January.
Oscar?
And again, one point of contact would be very, very helpful.
Also, it might be nice to have somebody from Verizon attend here, because I think that that's part of the disconnect. But because this is a single hearing action, I think that maybe it should just come off, and then instead of cycling it as a continued, whenever, they can come back whenever they're ready. If that is the next hearing, that's fine. But we don't have to keep coming back here to talk about it if it's not ready.
Oscar, to further the comments conveyed to you by both Commissioners Ronan and Commissioner Cordy, may I suggest the following? By the time the next hearing comes about, it will be 2 months since you petitioned the Commission. That's rather a long time to have a matter of this resolved. Matters of this issue, matters of this nature should be resolved way before you even come to a new business. So may I suggest the following? In 2 weeks from today, if the petition is of opinion that there still requires further conversations to mitigate the concerns that are raised by you, may I suggest that you respectfully withdraw this petition at that time and come back to us when you have a plan of action that meets the needs of your needs as much as the needs of the Commission members, or work towards getting the issue resolved over the next 2 weeks so that we can actually take a vote. Is that understood on your part, Oscar?
Yes, I'll definitely pass that along to everyone at Verizon to make sure we get one point of contact and then get this resolved as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Oscar. Are there any further concerns or comments by fellow Commission members? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing.
Does it need to be
This whole
continued?
hearing to 2 weeks from
November
Does it need to be
4th.
continued?
sorry, maybe November 4th.
My question, I guess maybe it's more for Todd, does this even need to be continued, right? Because say it takes 3 weeks, then we would be 2 hearings out, but they can show up whenever. So if this is a 1 hearing process, so we're not setting them back if they just withdraw this and come back when they're ready.
Yeah, the one nuance here is that the city clerk would have to re-notify all of the abutters if this were to withdraw. So I think the chairman's suggestion to come back in 2 weeks, and if they're not ready in 2 weeks, withdraw at that time, probably makes sense. I will reiterate your point, though, Amy. It's helpful to have Oscar's expertise here, but I think it would be incredibly beneficial to have somebody from Verizon attend the next hearing, regardless of what the intention is. We haven't seen a Verizon employee present at any of these hearings so far.
And they're the petitioner.
Correct.
Okay, so I'd like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing until.
I'll make a motion to continue utility pole continued item number 1 for a pole installation on Mount Vernon Street as read into the record by the chair.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Oscar, please do take the comments as you always do to a level of seriousness and convey to Verizon. And I insist that a representative from Verizon be here for the next public hearing. Okay? Thank you. Moving on to the utility pole hearing segment of our agenda. First item, a joint petition by Verizon New England Inc. and Eversource Energy for a pole installation and relocation within Freeport Street, a public way in Dorchester, to install 1 new utility pole and relocate 2 existing utility poles to be located on its easterly side, generally northeast of William T. Morrissey Boulevard. Good morning. Who do we have from Verizon and or Eversource?
I believe this should be Oscar again.
Yes, so I'm also representing for this petition also.
Oscar, if you could be ever so kind to state your name, your affiliation, and who you are representing. As you can imagine, this is a public hearing that is taped, so if we do have any concerns, we need to identify you or your testimony to be identified correctly. So please do us the honors.
Yeah, so I'm with Oscar Lainez. I'm with Pike Telecom, a subcontractor for Verizon. So the petition is to, is to petitioning a grant of location to place a new, there's two of them. The first one is to place a new 45-foot Class 2 pole, approximately 38 feet northeasterly from pole 90354 on Freeport Street. This pole is intended to feed the new building at 780 William T. Morrissey Boulevard that's in plan to be built. And then the
Oscar,
second,
if I may interrupt you for the benefit of the fellow commission members and any of those who are listening, you need to show a set of plans. You need to share your screen and show a set of plans because it is awkward for you to just verbalize what you're proposing without us seeing a set of plans.
can you see the screen right here?
No, Oscar, we are unable to see your screen. Todd, can you give a hand on this matter?
Oh, there he goes.
No, I take that back, Oscar. Yes, we can see you now.
All right. So the first petition is to place a new pole, pole 90354A, approximately 38 feet. There's going to be a new driveway that's going to be constructed. This pole is actually going to help feed the new building at 780 Morrissey Boulevard.
Todd, is it in our right of way?
Yes, Par,
Excuse
this is actually, this is in conjunction with the 780 Morrissey Boulevard project that came through the PIC a few months ago. Freeport Street is currently Massport or MassDOT's, but we are in coordination with them to take it over as a city street, so it's kind of one of those gray areas currently.
Second question, Todd, the plan show the removal of existing tree. Does that, just giving a background question.
That was all handled by the development project.
Got it, so that's outside the purview of the PIC commission.
Correct.
Okay. All right, comments or, let me see, you just had one, right? Questions or comments by fellow commission members?
Oh, yes, good morning. This is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. We reviewed the plans that you had sent to us last night, and actually, we have a drain line in the vicinity of where you're putting the pole. So we actually would like you to put the drain line on the plan for us to re-review it.
You said there's a drain line existing on that pole, right on that line of work.
Yes, from the plans you sent us last night, you sent us an image of where the new plan would be, and it's actually, you know, you can see in the image, or if you pull up the Google Maps from near the image, you can see there's a drain manhole there too. So if you want, I can just send you the plans that we have after the meeting. And I can give you that information. Okay,
Dennis,
if you don't mind, who should I send the plan to?
You can send that over to me. It's olainez@pike.com, and then I'll send that back to Verizon and let them know.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, the last, it was at Pipe.
.com.
I'll connect you,
Oh,
Denise.
.com, okay, great, thank you. Thanks.
Denise, do you want to continue this public hearing or this poll hearing, or are you comfortable with how things are as presented?
Actually, we would prefer to continue.
That's what I thought. Todd, have you or your staff had a chance to field review this?
Yes, we've been out there.
Okay, so Commissioner Devlin would like to continue this. Are there any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, are there any concerns or comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, I see none.
At the request of Commissioner Devlin's desire to continue this hearing, I'd like to get a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to continue utility pole hearing number 1 as read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
And opposed? Motion passes. Oscar, this is, your team's not batting well here. Okay, so do convey to Verizon and your handlers to give these matters the necessary attention. Okay?
Yeah, I'll definitely let them know. Definitely let them know about the drain line and the drain manhole that's there. So I'll pass the message along. Thank you.
And the completeness of the plans and all the prep work you are supposed to be undertaking, and also to ensure that someone from Verizon will be here for the public, for the poll hearings on November 4th. Thank you. Moving on to the next item, poll hearings, agenda item number 2, on a petition by Eversource Energy for a pole installation within Walter Street Public Way, West Roxbury, to install one new utility pole to be located on its easterly side across from address number 174, generally south of Wells Street. Good morning.
Good morning,
Who
this
do we
is
have from Eversource?
Good morning, it's Catherine Flaherty here from Eversource. This is a new pole that Eversource is requesting to install on the easterly side of Walter Street, and the reason is to provide electric service for a new irrigation system at Peters Hill Road at the Arnold Arboretum. I do have some pictures of the site.
Give me a second. I'm still seeing Oscar's screen. Is it just something wrong with my computer, or is everyone else seeing Catherine? Wonderful. Thank you, Catherine.
Okay. So you can see there, that's the site where we're requesting to install the new pole. It's a different angle of a picture there. And right there.
So, Catherine, I see a pole line on the opposite side of the street. Is this going to be the start of a new pole line, or is it just to support the transmission of your services to a specific address?
Right now, it's just for the irrigation system. I think that they decided to put it there so that it would alleviate digging across the street. Not positive for that reason, but I think that's the reason.
All right. Comments or concerns by fellow commission members?
Oh, yes, hi Catherine, this is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. We reviewed your plan, and I know in the image that you sent us, it shows that the watermarked line is in the street. We recently did work up near Weld Street, and the water line was in the sidewalk. So what we're requesting is, when you go out to do the work, if you could dig a test pit to confirm the location of the water main. We just want to make sure, you won't be near it when you're digging, when you're installing the pole.
Okay, so conduct a test pit to confirm where the water line is.
Oh, yes. And I have your information, Catherine. I can, contact you after the meeting and just mention, who you should contact, if you run into any issues in the field.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further comments by fellow commission members?
Hi, Catherine. Can I just confirm the dimension that's left over on the sidewalk on when the pole will be installed?
Usually when it is approved by the commission, they would move to install it, weather permitting and that kind of stuff, probably like within the next 30 days.
No, how much space between the pole and the wall?
Oh, I'm sorry. I believe it would be out by the sidewalk, so that distance, maybe 5 feet? I don't know, whatever that distance
Just
is.
get a confirmation at some point during the process to ensure that it meets our city standards. That would be great.
Okay.
Catherine, Ms. Leung is making a very important point because of the proximity of this location, I believe, to the Arboretum. Hopefully I have my locations in the correct area. And people are used to understand the limitations of the opposite side of the sidewalk where you have your utility poles. And people may be utilizing this side of the sidewalk for people that are in need of a full width sidewalk. So Catherine, the concerns which we have is the infusion or the intrusion of that first pole basically negates the total functionality of that sidewalk.
I
So
understand.
I want to make it absolutely certain that when you are, because you don't have a set of plans that clearly shows the net effect loss. Okay, so in the absence of that, Catherine, I will insist that the work is conditional upon the fact that there's adequate space to serve the needs of not just the needs of the Disability Commission, but the total functionality of that sidewalk. Just think about planting something right in the middle and then no one can go through that whole sidewalk. Okay? And if you think that is going to be the case, you need to come back to the commission and have this whole matter revisited.
Okay.
This part of our neighborhood does have sidewalks that may be not the full 7 foot width or could be a little bit more challenge. Okay? So please help us to help you to manage the situation on behalf of our city.
Understood. I will.
Thank you. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PIC staff and or members of our today's audience.
No, we're all set.
I'd like to hear a motion regarding the board hearing number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Eversource Energy for a pole installation within Walter Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent by a test pit performed for Boston Water and Sewer, and confirmation of sidewalk dimension for the commissions for persons with disabilities.
Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Moving on to the public hearing segment of our agenda, public hearing number 1 on a joint petition by resolution of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for the widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of Tremont Street, Public Way, Roxbury, located on its southeasterly side at address numbers 1158 through 1176 between Whittier Street and Driver Street. This was brought on a new business on October 7th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Widening and Relocation Plans 1158 through 1176 Tremont Street, Roxbury, Public Way, 1 sheet dated September 14th of 2021. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your time this morning. First off, can you see my screen?
Yes, Jonathan, you're good.
All right. Let me first introduce the project team. Myself, Jonathan Headland with Mitch Engineering, John Springfield with POA, Iris Lynn with Halverson, Jason Gear with TAT, Guy Busa with HSH, Allison Burton with BHA Council. I'll now hand it over to John Springfield, who will give a brief project overview.
Hey, good morning. My name is John Springfield, Project Manager at Preservation of Affordable Housing. I believe my colleague Corey Mann gave a brief overview on the project at the new business hearing earlier this month, but just as a quick refresher, this is the third and final phase of the comprehensive redevelopment of the Whittier Street Apartments in partnership with Boston Housing Authority and Madison Park Development Corporation. It replaces the existing public housing apartments with a new mixed income community that replaces all of the existing deeply affordable housing and ensures that all Whittier residents have the right to return. And it also adds new affordable, moderate income and market rate apartments. When all 3 phases are complete, there will be 316 apartments, 9,000 square feet of commercial retail space, and numerous community amenity spaces coupled with funding for supportive services focused on financial stability, job training, health, and education. As you can see from the renderings, the 3rd phase is a 12-story, 172-unit building along Tremont, and the design of the public realm here is critically important to create a mixed-income community that reconnects to the broader neighborhood, and we share the city's goals of creating a walkable, transit-oriented neighborhood activated by ground floor retail with careful attention to the public realm, landscaping, urban tree canopy, accessibility, and bicycle and transit amenities. So I think with that summary, I'll hand it over to Jonathan Hedlund to talk about the engineering and design.
Thank you, John. So petition, Chair.
No, thank you, Jonathan, Your Honor.
All right, so petition number 1 is the widening and relocation along Tremont Street as coordinated with the city. It's roughly 7.6 feet wide as depicted here. Any questions?
Questions by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PIC staff or members of today's audience?
No, none.
At this point, I'd like to get a motion regarding public hearing number 1.
Make a motion to approve a joint petition by the Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for the widening and relocation in Tremont Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Second item, public hearing number 2 on a joint petition by the Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for the establishment of line and grade approval of a new public way in Roxbury to be known as Tennant Lane from Whittier Street to Ruggles Street, located generally between 1158 through 1176 Tremont Street and Choice Way. This was brought up a new business on October 7th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Line and Grade Plan, Tennant Lane, Roxbury Public Way 1 sheet dated May 13th of 2021.
I am Jonathan.
Go ahead.
I'm Jonathan Hedlund with Niche Engineering. As depicted here is the line and grade of New Tenor Lane. This is more or less a mirror image of Choice Way, which was recently constructed in phase 1. As shown here, we have a 55-foot right-of-way, 10.5-foot sidewalks on either side. The road itself is 34 feet. We have a raised crosswalk, which has a pinch point of 20 feet. As depicted here, this has all been coordinated with the city's reconstruction project on Ruggles Street, so we have taken their line work and incorporated it into our design. On the west side, we have new crosswalk along Whittier Street. Any questions?
Jonathan, I know this hearing, or this segment of the hearing is just establishing the line and grade.
Yep.
Are you going to be planting any trees around this?
Yes, in the specific repair plans, we will see.
I'm getting it up myself. Okay, any questions or comments by commission members? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by members of today's audience and or PIC staff?
No, none.
I saw Alison in the audience. Okay, all right. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding this item.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the
Sorry,
Boston.
Amy, give me a second. I think Alison had raised her hand.
Oh, yes, very sorry, Allison Platinas, I missed that. My apologies.
Okay, hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Alison, you're good.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'm sorry, this is going so fast. My question actually was about Tremont Street, so I don't know if I can bring it up. I just wanted to confirm the vote was to move the line 7 feet 6 inches. Is that correct? But on the drawing, it also looked like there's a whole 11-foot lane added to Tremont. Is that clear? My question?
I can handle that question. So the previous action was to move the right-of-way line, so essentially the property lines by approximately 7.5 feet. The next action, the specific repairs, is going to consider all of the actual hardscape improvements. So the curb lines, the plantings, the sidewalk treatments, all of that. So
Okay.
the actual physical
I'll-
changes aren't up yet.
Okay, I'll bring up my question then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Anderson, for joining us today. Okay, so with regards to this hearing, I think Amy, you are clear to,
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for a line and grade approval to be known as Tenor Way, as read into the record by the chair.
all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Third item on today's agenda, on a joint petition by Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as the new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty payments, street lighting infrastructure, traffic signal infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, street trees, planters, landscaping, irrigation infrastructure, street furniture, bike racks, private utility infrastructure, driveway curb cuts, and raised crosswalks. More specifically, Fremont Street on its southeasterly side at address number 1158 to 1176 between Vijay Street and Ruggles Street. Tenor Lane between Vijay Street and Ruggles Street. Vijay Street on its northeasterly side between Fremont Street and Tenor Lane. Ruggles Street on its southwesterly side between Fremont Street and Tenor Lane. All of this was brought under new business on October 7th of this year, as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Descriptive Plans, Ruggles Street, Vijay Street, Tenor Lane, and Fremont Street Public Way, Roxbury. 4 sheets dated October 8th of 2021. Good morning, Jonathan, once again.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan Headland with Mitch Engineering. I'll start off with Tenor Lane, moving to Whittier Street, to Tremont Street, then Ruggles Street finally. To begin with, Tenor Lane will be between Ruggles Street and Whittier Street. We have a new raised crosswalk as coordinated with the city. We will have new tree pits and street lighting with pole boxes associated. We have new BWSC infrastructure that has been approved by BWSC. Also, we have a raised crosswalk with a 20-foot pinch point located in the center of Tenor Lane. On the back side of the tree pits, we have roughly 5.5 feet of pedestrian access with an overall width of sidewalk at 10.5 feet. The street itself is going to be 34 feet. I can stop here with questions, or should I move on?
Questions by commission members? Reserving the right to ask follow-up questions after Jonathan has finished his full presentation. Go ahead, Jonathan.
All right, moving to Whittier Street. We have building access and loading dock within this area. This is going to be a city of standard driveway, so it's going to be a 5-foot pedestrian access here. We have new streetlights with pole boxes, and the entirety of this sidewalk will be reconstructed with new cement concrete.
Jonathan, question for you. The streetlight infrastructure which you are proposing, the actual type of the pole, is it consistent with the poles which Public Works is installing on the reconstruction of the Ruggles Street project and the remaining previous parts of the project?
That is correct. So it's all going to be the same poles that were installed in phase 1 of this project, and we've coordinated with BSL on this matter.
Thank you, Jonathan. Continue.
Moving to Tremont Street, we have 4 trees that we're going to protect and maintain. 2 trees are going to be removed. This has gone through the tree hearing process and has been approved. Starting on the left side, we have a new pedestrian ramp on this side. This will be reconstructed. The adjacent ramp will be reconstructed as well. We have a new, actually this is a reconstructed pedestrian ramp here. I'll move to the inset going along Tremont Street. So as coordinated with the city, we have, we're going to propose to reconstruct the median within Tremont Street to maintain a 5.9-foot access or a minimum of 5-foot access. On the adjacent side, we're going to be reconstructing the side on the pedestrian ramp on the north side. Moving on, we have new planters. Yes,
Question about that median segment on Tremont Street.
yes.
Was there a reason where you couldn't pull the median back? Specifically, were there any traffic signal or utility infrastructure embedded within that median so you could pull the median back to accommodate the full crosswalk design?
That is correct. There is a traffic light and associated traffic infrastructure in this area as depicted here.
Can the traffic signal be pulled back? Because I always had a concern about when we put crosswalks where it is of this nature, where the full crosswalk width couldn't have been supported. I'll be okay with the transportation department. Amy, if you're fine with it, I'll be fine.
What's the question?
Amy, are you okay with this median sticking halfway into the crosswalk versus the median being put back?
I mean, ideally, there's protection on both sides of the crosswalk, so that it's fully protected and that there would be more removal of the median on the one side and we would see a nose of a median on the opposite side to create refuge.
Exactly. So I feel like, sorry, go ahead.
So we actually ran some turning analysis because this question was in place. So we actually ran a WB-40 truck along with a passenger car as depicted here. As you can see that this turning movement would impede an additional median if we actually have pedestrian refuge in this area. So based on our recommendations and what most likely the previous intersection was designed by was because of this turning movement. And if we actually install an additional median further to the west, this would impede this turning movement.
What if we slid the crosswalk to the right?
So there's significant infrastructure within this area. If we actually did move the crosswalk, we have these within the crosswalk path of travel. And on the adjacent side, there's electrical infrastructure.
Amy, my concern is this is coming up on Russell Street, trying to connect to obviously the T station and our crosswalks are not the optimum. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, I see that it would be difficult to slide this, but like, it seems somewhat possible if all of this stuff moves a little bit further back, and we potentially make that median, like, this is a tough street to cross, so the safer it is in the middle, the better off we are, and if it's gonna be a point of refuge, right, like, you should feel not in the path of turning vehicles.
I'll follow your lead, Amy, as always.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if it's not possible, it's not possible, but I think that would be the goal, right? Like, the thing that would make this the best, from that standpoint, or what's the furthest that we can justify it to the right to make it as, you know, as big as possible, or as out of the intersection as possible.
Yeah, Jonathan, if you can just hold on to the screen right now, you can see it's an awkward situation for having that crosswalk positioned as it is. So right now is that median bull nose, is it being pulled back at all, or you're just pulling it back a couple of feet? Right on this picture.
It's pulling it back.
From this picture?
Yes.
Yeah, we're pulling it back a few feet, so we have a minimum of 5-foot pedestrian access within the crosswalk itself.
And the reason you are pulling it further back is because of the pit pole that is there?
Yes, there is infrastructure within this area.
The infrastructure and the pole can be adjusted in the bigger scheme of things, correct? I mean, that the pole box is there to provide electricity to the pole, right?
I am unaware of exactly the infrastructure within this.
I
pole
think
box.
It's a BPD handle for the signal that's right there, right? Like, that's,
Exactly.
yep.
Okay. So, Amy, again, just to move that baby because you have, as long as the pit pole serves the traffic signal head design needs within the cone when you're approaching from the other side. And I believe we have a mast arm. Jonathan, can you help me to figure out if there's a mast arm to support the inbound, yes, you have a mast arm, okay? So you have two vertical signal displays, third one is an optional one, correct? The ped pole is optional. I don't think there's even a ped push button in there, so I'm trying to understand the totality of the use of that ped pole. Jonathan, say something.
Yes. Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, Jonathan, functionality of that ped pole, not the ped pole, the traffic signal pole in the median. I do not see any ped indications. I do not see any ped actuation. There are two traffic signal displays on the mast arm. So that is in the domain of traffic signal designs. I think this is additional in terms of signal displays. So again, asking why it cannot be moved back to facilitate a proper crossing through there.
So we have additional utility infrastructure in this area, which would also hinder if we moved it to the right.
No, not the crosswalk, just put the...
Oh, you would like to you would like to relocate this pole here?
Yeah, put it back.
To this location?
You got it, and just pull the bullnose back.
All right. Can I please bring in my traffic engineer to see if they have any objections?
Guy.
Yeah, so, well, I only looked at the turning movements out here. I didn't look at the signal phasing. So my guess is there is no intent on the signal phasing for pedestrian refuge. And that's why there's no ped lights on that pole. Oh, well, you know, it's an older pole, of course. But when this intersection was originally designed, that's my gut feeling for this. But the pole, you know, moving of the pole in that pole box is not an expensive item. Although
All of us know that. I'm just utterly concerned about us rebuilding Ruggers Street, trying to make pedestrian connections to the Ruggers Street intersection, and then we have crosswalks that end up in medians. It's kind of...
So I think that the ask here is we can obviously slide the crosswalk on the angle that we're looking at, right? Like there's nothing there. So we'd like to slide this down and move the pole in the median island, get a nose on of protection on the end of the island, and then slide the other side as far towards those electrical boxes without having to move those boxes as possible. And there's potentially that this side of this would be a slightly skewed crosswalk, but we get the protection and the refuge in the middle of this.
Yeah, you know, spin around, John, again to that. You can see how damaged that curb is. So
yeah,
you have
so
a lot of
another
heavy
reason why we don't
vehicles
want people
crossing
standing
that.
there. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, you know, ideally, what you're talking about is a great idea, but it's expensive, and this is an affordable housing project. So I think.
So I guess what I'm saying is that the key piece is potentially having the refuge in the median, right? And then if it's not a perfectly straight crosswalk on both sides of the median, we would still have the project side where it should be and a median with refuge and an outer island, and then this side can come to wherever we can potentially best fit it. I don't want to move all of this stuff over here, but I think that just this is the problem side, the other side and the median seems solvable and not that big of a deal. So a hybrid of those two would be optimal.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, right. It'd be nice, yeah. Well, where I was going is to try to figure out some sort of cost sharing with the city and the project on a full solution to it. That's where I was
Yeah, and
going.
I don't know that we need the full solution right now, but this should be a step in the right direction. And if we can fix the project side in the center of the road, I think that helps.
I see.
And then the other side is we can make it as good as possible. I don't want heroic measures, but it seems like there's potential from here, what's shown on the screen right now, all the way over to make that better from a PED perspective.
So basically, Amy, pulling the eastbound right? Yeah, eastbound crosswalk further in to actually kind of get a refuge out of it. So that's what you're looking for?
Yep.
And then angle the
The side for
crosswalk going around the
police station
westbound
yeah.
side. Yeah. And moving this, that signal head.
Yeah, I mean, and like, we'll figure out what all that entails. I mean, that's the desire, I guess, it's what, that's what the goal would be. And, you know, barring any major infrastructure concerns or signal issues.
Right, yeah.
Guy,
Yeah, the other side there going up Ruggles is kind of a problem. It's not solvable with this.
Yeah, I don't think this project needs to fight that fight, but we can at least get the crossing, better, by.
On the other side,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can work with John on that.
Guy, and
Yes.
maybe I think there's value to taking a little bit of a breather, work with Zachary, obviously.
Oh, sure.
To see what is the optimum solution over here, because Mr. Bosa, I'm absolutely certain you are familiar with how these medians work up and down Tremont Street, including all the way to Millionaire Gas Boulevard, and how questionable those medians work, where the medians are literally in the footprint of the crosswalks, and it is awkward, to say the least. These are some questionable designs from an era that we are obviously not supporting. So as much as we are building affordable housing, those who are living in those housings deserve as equitable access and proper safety. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do over here.
Oh, I understand that, but okay.
Okay, so I think it is worth a 2-week pause, if that is okay with all parties, just for this item to see what can be done to optimize the collective needs. That is okay with the petitioner. John, are you okay with that, John?
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Just a 2-week hold, and very capable people who are passionate about these matters, I'm fairly certain they can come together with Ms. Cording's guidance and Mr. Bosman and all of the folks. I'm certain we can create a better solution here. Okay? Any further comments by fellow commission members? Because I know members of our audience have thoughts they want to share.
Yes, I actually have a question. This is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. Just as a general question, and I know this came up a couple weeks ago, and I realize this is probably more appropriate in the widening and relocation petition, but on our site plan, you have some drainage that's, you know, the manholes are like you know, they're like a hair, like within the widening and relocation plan. I just wanted to just verify that your intention is for those to be private, you know, where they're kind of like a hair in the public way.
That is correct. They are intended to be private. They're critical to the recharge system for the new building itself to meet the BWC requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Any further comments by?
Yeah, I have a quick one. On Whittier, you have something called the dumpster loading area.
Yes.
What is that? How's it gonna be signed?
So the signage for this, so we are proposing striping in this area for the dumpsters themselves. So during trash days, the dumpsters will be actually just brought out here manually and then brought back into the building itself. It's not going to be a dedicated area for long-term storage.
Right, but so it's just gonna be signed, no stopping, no parking?
Exactly, no parking.
Okay, you live long, you see something. Amy, it's the first time I'm seeing that type of a street regulation sign just for dumpsters.
Well, it won't be that, right? Like, that was my question. I didn't want it to say dumpster loading area. It's okay if we have a corner restriction there that they use to facilitate dumpster operations, but I did not want a dumpster specific sign.
I'm just trying to understand the parking regulatory sign that is going to be on the sidewalk that can be enforced or not, or if someone parks over there and if the day the dumpster needs to put the dumpster out there, all of that Drama.
Yep, Paris guy here, I'm just going back, I'll check the TAPA here. The sign, I believe the signage here is no stopping both sides.
Yeah, I just want it to be standard BTD signage and not some sort of
Right.
special dumpster thing.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no stopping both sides over here.
Okay, thank you, Guy. Any further comments by commission members?
Yes, I did want to go back to the Whittier Street, Tremont Street intersection in regards to the reciprocal ramps. If it's possible to use this opportunity while we're reconstructing these ramps to get a better alignment with the ramps so they have the detectable warnings line up with the actual path of travel. I think for, yes, this crossing as well as while we revisit the crossing across Tremont Street, just to have a better alignment of that crosswalk and detectable warning surface.
Understood. So Sarah, you're asking for an inline pedestrian path of travel in this area?
Correct.
All right, we'll evaluate. I don't think that should be an issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, at this point, I'd like to entertain any comments by members of today's audience. And I see Allison's hand raised. Todd, if you could facilitate.
Yes, please go ahead, Ms. Baltinas.
Thank you. A couple comments. I have heard in city meetings discussion of making Whittier two-way, so I'm just wondering how that will work with some of your changes. Just sharing that that thought. My comments about Tremont Street are the existing bus shelter and bus stop, I'm assuming is staying in the same location? But
We are relocating the bus shelter to this area right here. We've coordinated
oh, I
this with
see.
the MBTA.
Okay, sure. Okay, so the buses come out of the station and they make the left from Ruggles and they pull in right there. Okay. And the trees that are being saved, I know the tree hearing was in June. There were 2 large red oaks. I hope those are included in the trees that are being saved. I don't know.
That's correct. I believe, based on the tree hearing, we're going to eliminate the crab apples.
Okay. Part of the conversation was to have shade near the bus stop. So that, I hope that will still work. It looks like the tree on the left there will be close enough. So I'm still confused about the widening of Tremont. If you could just clarify that one more time. You are moving the curve east by 7 feet, is that right?
You're maintaining the current curb alignment right here. The pedestrian, or the easement itself is given to the city, and Todd probably could explain that more.
Okay.
So the property line moved, but the curb line did not.
Oh, okay. The property line moved, but the curb line is staying the same. Is that?
Sidewalk got bigger.
The sidewalk got bigger. Okay,
Correct.
terrific. Well, that's great news. Okay, so just a conversation maybe about Whittier Street and will what you're doing work if Whittier Street becomes 2 ways? Is there any complications there?
Alison, if I may respond, Whittier Street being a 40-foot standard public street for a residential neighborhood of this nature and without any intrusion of a sidewalk, a stone line, I think it can serve a future 2-way. I don't think the curb radiuses are being adjusted on Tremont Street to negate the turning radiuses. I can't see the plans further to the other side of Whittier Street. Jonathan, can you adjust the plans just to see how? Okay, looks fine, Alison, but I'm sure Ms. Cordy can, what's the word I'm looking for, answer your question in a more elaborate way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is enough room out here to leave that as an option. It would obviously, there'd be much less parking out there on that street if this were going to happen. I know that this was discussed. Also, Ruggles and Cabot are much larger than Whittier, so I think that that was also part of the discussion. But I think that that's kind of for something that will happen in the future with the development that would ultimately come on the other side of Whittier Street.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just wanted to thank you for the attention to the median and the crosswalk on Tremont. That's very thoughtful. This is a mixed income development, I believe, not just all affordable.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the cost down, right? We don't want to blow the budget,
Yeah.
but I think that there's
Right.
probably some.
There's definitely market rate apartments. Thank you.
Alison, thank you as always for your ongoing engagement in all matters of this nature and being passionate about these causes. Just for the record, I know we are taking down a couple of trees. How many new trees are being installed here?
Iris, do you have the total tree total offhand?
Roughly, plus or minus?
Let me think about it. For the corner of the Ruggles and Tremont Street, I think we have 7 large deciduous trees and like 5 smaller ornamental trees in the planter and in the planting area.
Thank you, Iris. Todd, I will assume we are having a maintenance agreement for the management of the new green infrastructure and the trees and all of this good stuff?
Yes, they've actually been working with Chung on all of that, and it's in a pretty good spot.
Okay, thank you. So again, petitioners, John would truly like to close out the execution of that maintenance agreement, which will help us to file these plans with the registrar, okay? Sometimes it holds us up because those maintenance agreements are not executed. And we truly support your engagement, and I'm fairly certain that between your agency and the city, we can come to an equitable conclusion regarding the median segment on Tremont Street. So that being said, we would still like to continue this for 2 weeks, which should give you enough time to update the plans to look after the needs of the median segment, plus the concerns that were brought up at the intersection of Whittier and Tremont Street from the PEPRAMs. Okay? So hopefully that summarizes things. Like we get a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to continue the joint petition by Preservation of Affordable Housing LLC and the Boston Housing Authority for specific repairs in the area of Tremont Street, Jenner Lane, Whittier Street, and Ruggles Street, and to continue this matter until the Public Improvement Commission hearing on November 3rd, 2021.
Second.
November
I think I did November 4th. Is it 3rd or 4th?
4th.
4.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I stand corrected, November 4th.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. So thank you so much. Hopefully to see you in 2 weeks, John. Again, appreciate everyone's attention. I'm absolutely certain we can achieve a common understanding so as to meet your needs and to the welfare of those that are going to be coming to your wonderful project. Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on to, that concludes our public hearing segment of our agenda. Moving on to the new business items. First item, 75 St. Alphonsus Street, Roxbury, specific repairs on a petition of JAG or JAG IG Longwood Property LLC. Good morning.
Good morning, Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. Has my screen popped up yet?
Yes, Rick.
Okay, so I'm here with Chris Burchard. He represents the owner with Jefferson Apartment Group. Also with us is Madison Arano. She is the landscape architect from Copley Wolf Design Group. So this is actually an existing 21-story apartment building. It's located in Mission Hill neighborhood, and this is near the Mission Main Apartments, and this is that Basilica that's on Tremont Street that everyone's probably pretty familiar with if ever driven down that road. It's about a 2-acre lot, and it has parking in the back and a drop-off in the front. The owner's doing some renovations to the exterior and amenity spaces, including the drop-off. We can get to the next page. And so there's actually a drop-off today that they maintain, and part of the stuff they maintain is actually in the public right-of-way. They actually have a fence, a wrought iron fence with brick columns here. They maintain planting in this area here, and there's another fence with columns here. And the fencing will be removed as part of these improvements. They're also going to, skipping a couple sheets. They're going to enhance the planting, so they're going to add a lot of ground covers and shrubs here, as well as adding 6 new street trees. Go back, this is for a repair plan again. So currently, they have 3 curb cuts along their frontage. We'll be eliminating this middle one because they can actually, this is the driveway to their parking in the back, so they can actually access this drop off through that driveway opening. And this will be one-way traffic going from north to south here. So we'll close that opening. What we'll do is, what's out there now is a 7-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk, and we will reconstruct that so it's continuous along the frontage, meaning there's no ramps at the curb cuts. We're also, with all the work we're doing, we'll be reconstructing the curb ramp that exists today that gives access to Smith Street here to the east. And the reciprocal ramp is actually a fairly recently reconstructed one that is compliant and has the detectable warning panel. So this has been reviewed by Parks, and I think Sarah has looked at it. Patricia Mendes is actually one that got back to us, because I reached out to Sarah when she's on vacation, I think, unfortunately, but they had no issues with it. The owner is going to maintain these improvements. So does the commission have any questions or comments?
Street lighting, your plans are too small, or my eyesight is failing me. Can you?
There's actually, we're actually retaining the street light here, and I think there's one on the other side.
Well, that is my question. Did you?
So we're not doing anything with the street lights except for one exception. Is Tristan asked me to help him with Eversource to rewire this light. I think it might be fed by overhead wire or something. So he's trying to get Eversource to provide a connection underground. So I'm working on that separately, but the street lights aren't moving.
So I think I didn't ask the question correctly, Rick. Your plans, slow down, PJ. Absolutely excited about this project. It is going to bring more visibility and usage. Sometimes we may have concerns about the adequacy of the lighting to complement the new usage. So I just want to make sure, Rick, that the plans have been reviewed by our street light division within the Public Works Department to ensure that the adjustments that you are proposing in terms of both landscaping and the revised path of travel is compatible with the current lighting, and or if additional lighting is needed in between those 2 poles. Okay?
Yep, they have reviewed, they haven't told me they need additional lighting, so.
So could you just, because sometimes one can get overwhelmed with work, and I need your help to make sure that someone from our street lighting folks say, yep, thumbs up, everything is fine.
Okay, I'll have them reconfirm.
Thank you, Rick. It's one of those where if they don't respond, that may not necessarily mean it's a yes. It might mean that they just have not had enough time to.
They didn't think about it, yep, okay.
Okay?
Gotcha, yep.
Thanks, Rick. Because I appreciate the work which you do, as a professional, and we are always trying to do the right thing and not necessarily just.
Agreed, and thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, I'm gonna add that this location, right, this is better, everything that you guys are doing here, but through a separate BTD small scale safety program, the Smith Street, St. Alphonsus intersection has been identified for tactical safety interventions. And that is a plan that we already have put together. So I guess my suggestion for you, Rick, would be to get in touch with William Moose, because I think that we were doing some stuff out here tactically that I think that the building might be both interested in and could potentially be done in a permanent way that doesn't just involve paint and flex posts. which would be what appears through our program if these guys don't want to weigh in that. But we're trying to get the bikes through here a little bit more rationally and everything, and I think the closing of the driveway helps. So if you could just coordinate with William on like what the best way to connect those two efforts is.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of the program. Even though I did do toolbox, it didn't show up, so.
Yeah, and well, it wouldn't because this is a paint and post, right? But it's like
Okay.
we're gonna paint green and put flex posts and center median, like, islands out of paint and posts, but it seems like that could all be tied into, if they're gonna make this look nice, they might as well, not have things show up in post if they can put it in permanently.
Okay. Yeah, the last thing I'll mention, I forgot, Denise Devlin from Boston Water Sewer did tell me that there's a couple catch basins along this frontage. She just wants to make sure that they're in good shape and make sure they have the don't dump plaque, so I forgot to mention that.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Any additional comments or questions by fellow commission members to Mr. Lapidi? Hearing none, any comments or concerns by PSC staff and all members of this audience?
No, there were a handful of planned comments that were very recently given to the project team. My understanding is that HSH will address those comments in the next 2 weeks.
Wonderful. So Rick, I will assume that you will be in your very capable hands. You should be able to manage all of this stuff and see us in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Rick. So we mark this thing up for 2 weeks. We should put it to November 4th.
That works for us, thank you.
Thank you. Second item on the new business agenda, 149 Newbury Street, Dartmouth Street, Boston proper. Specific repairs on a petition by L3 space 149 Newbury Street, LLC. Good morning.
Good morning, Rick Platini again with Howard Stein Hudson. I am here with the representative owner, Whitney Robinette and Sarah Hines from L3 149 Newbury ST LLC. We're also joined by the landscape architect from IBI Group, Chris Jones and Kyle Fruschauer, to answer any questions. I think Whitney's going to give a little background, and then I'll go through the actual engineering aspects of it.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Whitney Robinette. I'm a principal at L3 Capital. Just some background on what we're trying to accomplish today. This is the parking lot at the corner of Dartmouth and Newbury Street in the Back Bay, identified in red on the plan that you're looking at currently. And it is a vacant parking lot today. We are planning a redevelopment, which will be a 5-story mixed-use retail and office project. Currently, there is a blue bike station that abuts the property line. And we're working with the BPDA, Nick Schmidt as well, to identify a permanent location for a year-round blue bike station. The intention is that we would relocate the existing station that's on Dartmouth Mall against the property line into the sidewalk via a sidewalk extension along Newbury Street. And then this blue bike station would be permanent, as I mentioned, year-round. We've been working with the BPDA trying to identify, on or off-street locations, but unfortunately there's no location appropriate for this station but for along Newbury Street. So the presentation you're going to see today is focused on that sidewalk extension, and we look forward to working with you on this.
Thank you, Ms. Whitney.
All right, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with this site. It's about a block north of the Boston Public Central Library. It's a third of an acre, and it's like the only surface parking lot you probably see in the Back Bay area. So obviously that's going to be demolished in favor of, as Whitney mentioned, a new 5-story building that will contain a mix of retail and commercial uses. I just wanted to go back to this picture because this is the blue bike station she was talking about that's right up against our property line, and we're trying to find a year-round location for it. So let me go into this. So what we're proposing, obviously, is a typical 6-foot offset to extend the sidewalk here to allow the blue bike station to be year-round. There's actually a tree right here that was actually dead, so we didn't need a tree hearing, so we're removing that, and we're planting a new street tree here. This is actually a 19-dock station. We also have 5 other bike racks within the furnishing zone. These 2 streetlights here are actually being relocated to your lighting level comment from earlier, Power. They're actually, Streetlight did ask us to add another streetlight on this particular project here. And as you can see, we actually have a pretty generous front yard for this project too. It's about, this is about 20 feet, so we'll have this will be like colored concrete. There'll be plantings. We're adding trees here too, and there'll be some seating areas, so it'll be quite an improvement. Just so you know, the length of this is about maybe 130 feet or so, if you're interested. We'll also be redoing this, what's currently an apex ramp right here, and making them perpendicular, and relocate the traffic signal. The traffic signal currently for this ramp is about 15 feet away. It's over here. So this will be quite an improvement too. We are working right now with the Architectural Access Board about, probably shows better on this sheet, just these reciprocal apex ramps, which are non-compliant because these are not 30-foot curb radii. So we are still working with them, and we hope to have, we will have a resolution before the public hearing for you. And also the owner will be maintaining these improvements. So any questions?
Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
I think that, well, I just want to clarify, I think that there's a new traffic controller that comes to this location as well, right?
A new traffic, you mean a new traffic signal right here?
A controller unit, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry, we actually sent traffic signal plans into Don Burgess. We've actually gotten the initial comments back right before this meeting, so I haven't had a chance to look at them, but yes.
Okay, so that one thing, and then just the kind of the notion of the outcome of your variance hearing is probably going to, if you don't come out of that with a variance, then it seems like we're moving a lot of equipment on the other things, and that will send you back into the signals department then. So it's just about, if that doesn't work out, then come back and let us know what you're thinking.
Correct, and actually, I don't think whatever way it turns out, it probably won't affect the corner we're talking about, but you're right. We have a lot to do with Zach and Don Burgess as far as doing the other corners, yep. Because once we do one of these other apex, we're stuck with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of these signals, right? So yeah, I think it matters deeply, the findings of the AAP for you guys.
Yes, I agree.
Great. Are there any neighborhood organizations, whether it's the Back Bay Neighborhood Association or the Business Association, or any landmarks, agencies that this project has to be reviewed, needs to be reviewed?
Oh, yes, Oh, go ahead, Whitney, sorry.
I can speak to that. Yes, this has been reviewed by the neighborhood groups. It's been approved by the Back Bay Architectural Commission.
Thank you. The condition of the bricks that are there. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever bricks we're touching, we have to replace with wire cut bricks. And I believe we were asked to look for any ones that were warped or anything like tree roots or something, try to fix that too.
Right, thank you, Ray. Any additional comments or concerns by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Thank you, Todd. Then we shall mark you up for a public hearing on 2 weeks from now. That should put you to November 4th.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
All right.
Moving on to the third item of our new business segment, Tremont Street, Everest Street, Boston Proper, grant of location on a petition by Crown Castle Pilot.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Brian.
My name is Brian Cunningham. I'm with Crown Castle, and with me today on the call is Ashley Perry from Crown Castle. We're petitioning for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants, a telecommunications conduit with City Shadow on Tremont Street and Avery Street in the downtown area. We're implementing this project for a new small cell service to be delivered to a light pole on Tremont Street. I'm going to share my screen and bring up the plan. Is that visible to everybody?
Yes, Brian.
Thank you, Power. The proposed dig would begin on Avery Street at a Crown Castle handhole in this location right here. We would dig down Avery Street, place a new handhole at this location, go down Tremont Street, up to It's a different orientation, but continuing on Tremont Street, place a handhole at this location, and then dig to another Crown Castle handhole right here. And the light pole with the small cell service would be right at this location right here. The total length of the trench is 815 feet. It would be a micro trench. The section on Tremont Street is close to, but it's not on top of, the MBTA tunnels. We're working with the MBTA on a license agreement for that portion of the dig. And obviously, we would not begin any work on the dig until we have that license agreement. This does fall in the Business Improvement District, and we did get approval from the Business Improvement District. They do not object to this plan. Are there any questions or comments about the plan?
Thank you, Brian, for dotting the i's, crossing the t's. Any questions by fellow commission members?
Oh, yes, Brian, this is Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer. I just looked at the plan that we approved, and just glancing at it real quick, the only thing I noticed that's different is the new handhole at the end of the line, right at the sheet, right there, yeah. It is a new procedure that we have that we need to have the updated plan on file and get it reapproved before public hearing. I don't anticipate at this moment that will be an issue. I'll just let the staff know that you'll be coming by to have an updated plan.
Thank you, Denise. We actually did provide an updated plan, and I believe it got approved last Friday, the 15th.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Thanks, Brian. I'll double check on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Denise.
Any further comments by fellow commission members? Brian, we always appreciate you all doing the micro trench program here. Tremont Street, as you might imagine, is in need of attention. The whole street next to the Boston Commons or Gardens in the big green space, this is in dire need of attention. So hopefully when the city goes to resurface and repaint the street, we will not be carrying this stuff up. So hopefully your stuff is at a proper depth, which will allow the city to do the necessary maintenance work on the street itself.
We attempt to go down 16 inches, so it should be deeper.
Should be good.
Thank you, Para.
Any comments by by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, all set.
Awesome. We'll mark you up for 2 weeks from today. We should put it to November 4th. See you then, Brian.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Final item on today's agenda under the new business segment, Overland Street, Boston proper ground location on a petition by Sprint Communications Company, LP. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Thomas Agresta from Sienna Engineering Group. On behalf of Sprint Communications, I have a couple other team members here as well. Kristen Hagan from Sienna Engineering Group, Mike Hanifin and Cody Ford from Sprint Communications are here as well. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Tom, you're good.
All right, Sprint Communications is petitioning as a lead company with no participants to place new telecommunications conduit from 109 Brookline to a new manhole to be placed on Overland Street, as shown here. This new manhole will intercept existing Sprint conduit in order to service customers at 109 Brookline. If anyone has any questions, I will be glad to answer them now.
Thomas, just a quick question, and I apologize for not recalling the condition of Overland Street. You're going to be digging a one big gigantic hole right in the middle of the roadway. You're putting a 4x4x4, right? Okay, so that's going to take up some room. And do you have a sense of how torn up Overland Street is? I mean, is it passable? Does it look like Boston, or does it look like from another part of the planet?
It's not in the best of conditions, and actually we're currently doing demolition at 109 Brookline Ave. So I know that they have plans to restore the area once that whole building demo and renovation is complete.
Got it. So hopefully you will get ahead of that work, and someone smarter than me will come and rebuild this street so that it is deserving of Boston.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you. Comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff or members of this audience?
No, all set.
Excellent. That being said, Thomas, we will see you in 2 weeks, actually November 4th, for a public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes the business of today's agenda. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I'd
like to make a motion.
Oh.
No, sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Yeah.
We're all ready to go, Para.
I second, please. All in
Second.
favor, please say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much. Please all stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.